Hello and welcome to this special program on the Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation. As we are celebrating Timket, Ethiopia's Epiphany, recognized by UNESCO as an intangible world cultural heritage, we of course turn our attention to the nation's vibrant tourism sector. In recent times, the Ministry of Tourism has undertaken several initiatives to enhance the sector's contribution to the national economy. From the development of new tourist destinations up to the integration of advanced technologies, all these efforts aim to position tourism as a key economic driver. Today, we are honored to have with us State Minister of Tourism, Sileshi Girma, to discuss challenges and opportunities of the tourism sector, as well as to discuss the current ministry's activities and future plans. Excellency Minister, thank you very much for joining us to this interview.
Thank you for having me.
To begin with, could you provide us the general overview of the current state of Ethiopian tourism?
The current status of Ethiopian tourism is, very progressive. I would say the government of Ethiopia has given priority to the sector and put it as one of the top 5 homegrown economic reform agenda. And not only that, the government of Ethiopia now gives tourism a political priority and also a policy priority. So following this, we have achieved a lot in the past few years. To mention, the destination development projects that we saw, dying for Shagar and dying for the nation and now dying for the generations. So all these grand flagship large-scale tourism projects are showing the attention of the government, not only in the policy level, but also in the implementation of the policy aims. We now have, unique touristic products which are an interest for the domestic, for the local residents and for the diplomatic community. And also we now have a competitive high-end tourist destinations that are competing with the global high-end facilities.
At the opening of this discussion, I say we are celebrating Timket, so let's take a moment to reflect on Timket. It of course was inscribed by UNESCO back in 2019.
Yes.
As we are celebrating this festival, so what practical activities are you having as a Minister of Tourism to capitalize on Timket as a spot for tourist attraction?
Okay, so Timket, as you mentioned, the Ethiopian Epiphany is dedicating or representing the baptism of Jesus by John the Apostle. In Jordan River, of course. So this is more of a religious and spiritual, and particularly also a cultural celebration, which celebrated in all corners of the country by particularly Orthodox Christian. So this celebration is highly supported by the religious community and institutions. That's one. And the other, as a Ministry of Tourism, we count on this as one of the top touristic intangible heritage we have as a nation. And it's so unique that's why UNESCO has inscribed it as one of the few intangible cultural heritage sites we have in the country. So the government, we are, aligning with regional governments, particularly the Bureau of Culture and Tourism. We are trying to make sure that these places where it's best celebrated, like Gondar, Ziway Batu, and in North Shoa and elsewhere, Gambela, for example. So we want it to be celebrated in a very seamless way, whereby local and foreign visitors can experience and enjoy the festivity. So with this in mind, we started promoting the Timket in local and international media. We have now sent different media crew in the different corners of the country. So we are trying to promote and advocate the religious, spiritual and cultural values of this particular heritage. And the other is we are aligning with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also UNESCO liaison office in Addis Ababa to mobilize ambassadors to travel and experience this particular event.
It has been like 4 to 5 years since 2019 Timket was registered by the UNESCO as representative of cultural heritage in the world. What practical benefit it adds to Timket Or are we registering our heritage for the sake of registration?
I heard this question being asked oftentimes, and I believe it's good to ask, and I'm happy also to get the opportunity to explain. The UNESCO inscription is a very difficult process. So it has to be, for example, and it has to have an outstanding universal value to be a UNESCO heritage site. So we have gone through all that nomination filing of the festivity, and also trying to provide all the testimonies and evidence that we are asked by UNESCO to register Timket. So we have passed all that process and is now an intangible world cultural heritage site. So what benefits is brought after it's registered is a good question to ask. So I believe being recognized as one of the outstanding universal intangible cultural heritage is a privilege for us, with the fact that we as a nation have a pride, a unique Timket that anybody cannot find elsewhere. So that's one. So being unique is in first criteria for visitors to look into. If you don't have a unique thing, so people are not traveling to come and to see you. So it's a very selling point, a good selling point for the tourism perspective, from the tourism perspective. That's why we will see today most foreign tourists are planning particularly to come to Ethiopia to visit during Timket, because it's a unique thing that they couldn't find elsewhere. So being unique, and UNESCO is listing it in the inscription, is like one criteria for tourists to look into. Where should I go next? So they will look into the UNESCO list and find Timket. So being there is a privilege, because we will be a priority for visitors.
Many agree that Ethiopia has a lot to offer to the tourism sector, be it cultural, natural, or historical attractions. But which specific area can be taken as a key driver for the tourism development in the Ethiopian context now?
Well, in the past, I would say more of the historical, particularly, and partially the cultural heritage sites used to contribute a lot for the tourism sector. But currently, we also focus on the natural heritage. Ethiopia, owning close to 9 ecosystems. I often say we have from Norway to Dubai, we have the desert of Afar, where you can see an active volcano, and also we have places like the Semi Mountain National Park, Ras Dejan, and also Bale Mountains, Tulu Dimtu. Like these peaks are really sometimes creating snow and really cold weather, the Afro-Alpine. So we have from Norway to Dubai. So we have such diverse landscape, diverse agroecological zones and ecosystem. So with this fact, we tried to focus also on the nature. We have endemic animals like the red fox, Walia ibex, and mountain yala, and so on. So we have also indigenous plant species. So if we sell and focus on the nature, also we have a lot to sell. We have crater lakes, we have the longest river in the planet, Nile, Abai, and we have also coffee forests if you go to the southwest part of the country, and we have extreme landscapes and so on. So the nature is also immense in Ethiopia, and oftentimes famous and reputed authors say Ethiopia shelters what's all in Africa. So visiting Ethiopia alone is enough than visiting the whole Africa. So I say we now focus on culture, history, and nature equally, because we are competitive in all these specific tourism products.
Apart from those existing attractions, presently initiatives by the Prime Minister like Dam for Sugar, Dam for Nation, and other similar initiatives have garnered attention in terms of introducing new tourist attraction areas. So how do you describe the progress of those projects and their significance both to the local communities and national economy?
Well, it has a lot. Looking into all these specific projects, I would be happy to mention like one of these spots and would give a glimpse of what it means. Looking into the Unity Park alone, every year, annually, 300,000 plus visitors are seeing the site. So imagine everyone, being it local or foreign, are paying. So local paying 200 and a foreign paying, let's say, 20 USD for this much number of people has a lot of contribution for the economy in terms of cash receipts and foreign exchange earnings. So this is the direct cash that we are collecting. Beyond that, there are people recruited permanently and working in this park. So there are experts, management labor people, and also daily laborers who are permanently employed and got a job opportunity in this particular spot. So looking into the economy, it adds also a sales volume of the private sector. Ethiopia has rich cultural, natural, and historical sites.
Yes.
So that's a potential, and a potential is a burden. But when you design and implement a project like this one, you would be more competitive. We are not now talking about potential. We are now talking about a tangible touristic destination and products we have that are globally competing and improving our rank from the global tourist map or marketplace.
But despite all those actual works and opportunities, there are still challenges persist in the tourism sector. Some mention infrastructure and global perception towards Ethiopia and Africa in general as an obstacle to the tourism sector. But what practical challenges do we have as a country in Ethiopia in terms of the tourism sector?
So I agree with you that the global perception and also the infrastructure are few of the challenges we have in the sector. And the other would be the service quality. Though we are working a lot, like I said earlier, on human capacity, yet the service quality and assurance is not yet a completed work. And the other would be still there are challenges on the capacity of promoting Ethiopia in the global market. Globally, some of the countries who are very competitive in the tourism sector have opened tourism offices elsewhere. So for example, if you take Kenya, the magical Kenya has 17 global offices promoting the Kenyan tourism in the city center of London, New York and so on. But thinking of the land of origins with such a vibrant brand has not been promoted much yet. So there are challenges in using also international media, which has huge influence on the tourism market and changing the perception of the global community. So we have few of this is one of the few challenges we have in the sector, and the other would be security. So people to travel between places want to make sure they are safe traveling, and that's the first and number one priority. So this is again a challenge here and there, including this year. So I would say a lot of challenges we have yet in the sector, but we are trying to solve one after the other.
So let's take a moment to talk about also technology. Many believe technology is important in modern tourism. So how your ministry is leveraging technology in terms of boosting tourist attraction as well as promoting tourist destinations?
Yes, our tourist destinations are here and the tourists are elsewhere. So we need to really go there and promote or try to use the technology to provide the necessary information and inspire them with the promotion we are doing. So technology is the only solution or the most important solution, I would say. And we are working on that. We have, as a nation, the Digital 2025 vision of the government, Digital Ethiopia. So tourism is one of these wings, and accordingly we are focusing on working on the electronic and digital promotion outlet. So far we have the land of origins, the social media, which we are using like on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, Instagram, which is important these days, and other outlets too, including YouTube. And the other is we have the Visit Ethiopia platform, which is purely promoting the country rich endowments of nature, culture and history.
Sustainability is also another question many mentions whenever we talk about tourism, because tourism is often regarded as the most volatile sector due to a number of factors. What are the things that you are doing to build sustainable tourism in Ethiopia?
You're right that tourism is very vulnerable to pollution and negative environmental impacts. We know that most people say tourism is smokeless, which I don't agree, and which is not true, because it doesn't have like a factory smoking, but in hotels there will be sewage disposals, and there will be visual pollution if there is a huge tourism infrastructure, for example in the nature sites. And there would be sound pollution if there is too much tourists crowded in a city center. So with these facts that we say tourism is not smokeless. But the only thing what you can do is you can make tourism smokeless if you properly manage it. A factory, you can't do it, a manufacturing company. But for the tourism sector, you can make it smokeless. So thinking that we have environmental guidelines. Any developments, for example, we have the Line for Nation project happening in the national parks. We have it in Awash, and we are now working in Bali, and also we are planning to do more in other parts of the country. So all these projects are under the environmental guideline. We have to do the environmental impact assessment, EIA, before developing any infrastructure or tourism facility. So we are working on that, but it's not only on the power of the government. We need the support from the local community. We need also to align with the private sector who are actually operating the business in the ground. And also we need the good tourist will, because the visitors themselves should be aware and conscious in respecting the culture, benefiting the community, and not polluting the environment.
So finally, as a person who has been in the tourism sector for long, and as one of the leaders, top leaders in the tourism sector, what message you would like to deliver to tourists who consider Ethiopia as their next destination?
I would say Ethiopia is truly unique, and we are the land of origins. We are the origin of humanity, which is everything. So, and we are the origin of coffee Arabica. We are the origin of the longest river in the planet. We are truly land of origin. So coming and visiting Ethiopia is coming back home. And like I said earlier, Ethiopia shelters what's all in Africa. And coming to Ethiopia is visiting nature, culture, history and people. So it's very important to be here, and I invite them all to discover what's more in Ethiopia. And most welcome to the land of origins, your origins.
State Minister of Tourism, Sileshi Girma, thank you very much for your taking time and sharing with us your insights and explanations.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
As Ethiopia continues to advance its tourism sector, we will keep on exploring its natural heritage and beauty. Many thanks, dear viewers, for joining us in this enlightening discussion. This is Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation, the voice of Pan-Africanism, and I'm Dems Makrao. See you next time with another edition.